How you doing?
We're the Daughertys, and we're coming to talk to you about what it's like to go through this crazy time, our second week of stay-at-home orders, and how difficult that can be as a couple. And so we have 3 kids. Mike and I are both working from home. We're fortunate to be able to do that. And the kids we have a college student, a high school student, and a middle school student, and they are all here at home doing online school, which has been good and challenging. And we're thankful that we have an office that we're able to go in and work from, but our house can feel small at times as we're all trying to do our things, and we can lose patience and we can lose sight of grace for one another, and tension can run high, but we're thankful that we have each other in the midst of this. And we just know that in this time, Mike and I were talking about how for us and for a lot of people, this might be a time that you have never spent as much time with your spouse as you're spending right now, consecutively, continuously, and that can feel a little bit unfamiliar. It can bring tension, it can bring guardedness, it can bring just some snippiness as we try to navigate the day. And depending on the ages of your kids, if you're trying to navigate little ones in the midst of trying to work from home, or in the midst of just trying to keep them busy and occupied, that can be hard. And you're trying to juggle and balance responsibilities, and it can just feel like things are closing in on you, and you just don't feel like there's a space to breathe in. And that can be really hard on a marriage, as we're all trying to figure out all these different dynamics and carry the feelings and emotions that we do around all of this. Our marriage also needs to be tended to, and we have an opportunity to do that.
This is one of those times where we can really take some time and focus on one another, because there's not much else that we can focus on. We're all trapped in our houses together, and whether your situation is this is more time than you've ever spent with your spouse, or you've got a spouse that's out working and you've got to be quarantined from one another, it presents unique challenges that most of us have never faced before. So as we jump into these things, we just wanted to talk through what some of that looks like in a marriage and how we can navigate this successfully so that we can come out stronger and better than when we went in. Westwood's theme through this whole thing is let's thrive, not just survive, and we want that to be true for our marriages as well. So as we've been thinking about this and what we wanted to talk about, and we've been connecting with each other and saying, okay, what does it look like to come through this and be better when we come out? We recognize that you're somewhere in a spectrum of really, really grateful that you get all this time together, or this is hell on earth for you. And you're probably somewhere in between there. There are probably days where it's hell on earth and other days where it's awesome. And we hope that more days are awesome than not. But we want to talk about what it looks like when we're in the midst of this. And like Jacqui said, we're starting to get snippy with one another. It's starting to get a little more difficult. And we want to talk through what it looks like to do that. As we get into discussing marriage, I think that one of the things that makes it difficult is a lot of us go into it with the mindset that this marriage is set up to make me happy. And that's the goal, and that's the function of our spouse. And we need to remember that that is not true. Our marriage is not to make us happy. Our marriage should be here to help us become more godlike. It's an example through Scripture of how God interacts with us and how He helps us grow into what He wants us to be and who He wants us to be. So as we're going through this time, we want to make sure that we're really focusing on what it looks like to build one another up in the midst of this, and not really focusing on getting our own needs met. Jacqui and I have had the opportunity to sit with a lot of couples through the years and talk through different issues. Some have been really successful, some have continued to struggle. The ones who are successful ultimately recognize that they need to meet their spouse's needs. And that's, in this time, more critical than ever, because each one of us has needs. Whether you're an extrovert and you can't get out to meet your people, or you're an introvert and you can't get alone because there's people everywhere. Either way, these times are difficult. And so what does it look like to look at your spouse and start to figure out, how do I meet their needs? And so as we go through this time and we are trying to figure out how to thrive, what we really want to do is be asking ourselves the question, what does my spouse need? and how can I best meet that needs? Now, some of the challenges that come with that is there are a lot of times where you don't feel like they deserve it. They're not meeting your needs, they're not doing the things that you want them to be doing, and you don't feel like, hey, this is something that they deserve. But that's where we have the most opportunity, because the reality is, that's the design. God has continued to give to us and love us through times when we don't deserve it, and continue to pour out into us. And so when you're looking at your spouse and going, hey, they're not doing anything for me, those are the times where you need to go, it doesn't matter. I need to step in and give to them, because that's what I'm called to do, and that's what's going to make my marriage better. So those are the things as we move through this time that we really want to focus on. And honestly, we don't know how many of these videos we're going to be doing. Rick has asked us if we'd be willing to jump in and do this, and we said yes, and it's an undetermined amount of time, but we're going to step in and keep trying to give you some challenges and resources to get through this. There are a couple things that we want to make sure that you guys have. A couple of books that we highly recommend, and if you're not a reader, grab the audiobook. I haven't read a book in years, but these are worth listening to. The first one is Sacred Marriage. It is absolutely remarkable. It really focuses on what it looks like to love a spouse even when you don't believe they deserve it. And the other one is the 5 love languages. We want to make sure that we are communicating love to our spouse in a way that they're able to hear it, in a way that they're able to understand it. So, what I miss?
Nothing. Sacred Marriage is written by Gary Thomas, and the 5 love languages is written by Gary Chapman. So we really recommend this, and this is just a powerful read, and you might have some time right now where you can sit down and really dive into this. We promise you it will really, really benefit your marriage and teach you to look at your marriage differently and what it's for and how it can grow you instead of just how your marriage is supposed to make you happy, how your marriage can draw you closer to the Lord and really help to work through some of the things that we need to work through that we usually blame our marriage for. So we're always here to support you and to chat with you. Mike's going to give you the email address that you can go to contact us. We're happy to talk with you over video or over the phone. Whatever kind of support you need, we're here for you. We know that this can be really tough, and we want you to take this time to thrive in this. This is a hard time, but it also has a lot of beauty to it, and we can really dive in and really work through some things in our marriage and really draw close to one another. And that's the gift of this time is figuring out what does it look like to draw close.
Yeah, so if you want to reach us, we're available at couplessupport@westwoodcc.org. Feel free to email us, and we'll be paying attention to that, and we'll reach out and we'll get in contact some way. Also, if you're at a point where you are thriving in your marriage and this is just a great time, think about those couples around you that might be struggling and reach out to them too, and just see what they need. See how you can step in and help them. The reality is, we're not meant to do our marriages alone, and I think that's one of the illusions that we get taught growing up, is that the problems that happen here should stay here, but that's not true. We all need help getting through this, and we've been really blessed to have a lot of people that stepped into our marriage at times when we've really needed it, and we want you guys to be able to do that for other folks that need it too. So don't be intimidated. Don't feel like, hey, I don't have anything to offer. If you are in a marriage and you're figuring it out, you have something to offer. So make sure that you're paying attention to those folks around you that might need you as well, and reach out with a call or a Zoom call or something to let them know you're thinking about them and you're available if they need you. So thanks for listening. We'll be back again next week, and we'll have some more stuff for you. Bye.